show. There's a 2-mile wait to get past the damn green line.
Tell anyone who gets scared by a bear in the neighborhood, call Joe Murray. I happen to trust Joe Murray.
First time I ever met Joe Murray was at a Hooters.
I like that.
Vomit. Whoa.
Point. They lose the coin toss. Chiefs get the ball. They shred them right down the field and lose the game. You knew that was going to happen. Baker Mayfield knew that was going to happen. Fourth downs have been one of the biggest issues in the NFL. And coaching in general has been just on the biggest display of how dumb everyone is. And I think analytics have a lot to do with it. Now, there are some inexperienced guys. Some people, it's just their mentality. Dan Campbell, there is just a group there that says we're going to go for it no matter what. And you know what? I kind of like it because everyone knows. They know the expectation has been set when it comes to that. But there are coaches who practice this stuff. There are coaches who say, hey, if we score here, what are we going to run for two? I mean, you've seen the documentaries with the Patriots where, say what you want about Bill Belichick, he had his players prepared the most, at least what we've seen over the years. Now, the drafting and all that other stuff we can talk about another day, but when it comes to actual game day preparation, they did all sorts of things. And the Malcolm Butler play in general defensively shows you just how in-depth they get into that. But the Bucs have this huge comeback. They have all the momentum. The Mahomes ankle thing was on the line. All of that happened. The Chiefs were getting shredded all night by Baker Mayfield. Just kick the field goal. Don't worry about it. Try to stop him in overtime. I just relayed all this to the Patriots game. Now, two different complete scenarios. One team's undefeated. trying to get knocked off. The Bucks are trying to hang in there despite all the injuries that they've had this year. What did the Patriots have to lose? So for all the people on Sunday and on Monday who wanted to say it's just what they do in the NFL, Joe, well, they did it last night, and guess what? The team that won the coin toss won the game. So it's just what we do. Okay, you're 0 for 2 now. When does it change? What is the right call? Because I look at the Patriots and say, what did you have to lose? What did you have to lose at all? And here's the deal. Everyone already questions the coaching staff anyways. Mayo said it after the game. Oh, well, if we went for it and missed, they would get on me. How about you actually make the call? Set an expectation. Because right now, there are a lot of question marks I have about the New England Patriots. I don't know where they've gotten better. I don't really know who's a part of their future. I don't know who makes the play calls. I don't know who makes the decisions to kick into the wind or what, even heads or tails. I don't even know who made that call. At least I know with the Chiefs, if they get the ball, they're going to win. The Bucs should have known that too. So we've had 2 instances of the worst teams in the NFL and the best team in the NFL. And when they get that opportunity, they win. So 2 weeks in a row now, or 2 games in a row, Sunday, Monday, a chance to win the game on the road. Teams declined 0 for 2. Keep watching it. I hope it changes. I want to give you a scenario where it was different. I do. I'm going to be looking for that going forward. Speaking of the Patriots, today was trade deadline day. And, one thing I wanted to just get out of the way when it comes to how I feel about the Patriots this year, although they'll tell you about a different vibe, although they'll tell you about how things are different now, and realistically, they're drafting the same, even when Belichick was here. And on trade deadline day, they did the same as Bill Belichick. So you really can't convince me that things are different here now that Bill Belichick's gone. You can't. It's hard. And what happened on trade deadline day? I understand that there weren't a lot of players of value on this team. But KJ Osborne still being here, why? Tyquan Thornton, at least I heard the Cowboys were in on him. Instead, they get Mingo for a 7th-round pick. So were the Patriots holding out for a 6th-round pick for Tyquan Thornton? Like, is that really what it was? The Cowboys wanted him. Instead, they send a 7th for Mingo. I think the Patriots overvalue who they have on their team. They might think what they have there is a lot better than what the rest of the league does. And I think that was on display today on the trade deadline. Kendrick Bourne, a player that you've re-signed this offseason. You could have moved him. Devin Godshaw, at least the one thing with him, he's your best run defender. But a team like the 49ers needed a run defender. They needed a wide receiver. Why not package them both and try to get a conditional third? I just feel like it was the same old thing. Although Bill Belichick is gone, it's still the same old. They still run things the same way. I bet you they're still drafting the same way because you know why? Those guys are still here. Those guys are still here. So as far as the trade deadline went today, I just feel like it was the same old thing. I had an expectation that they wanted to be different this year. And they told teams they were open for business. But in the end, they couldn't. And the players that were mentioned were Christian Gonzalez, Keon White, Godshaw, Duggar, guys like that. If you got wowed on any of those guys, I would have done it. But just don't tell me things are different around here. They don't. But these were the players that were moved. We know that the Chiefs got DeAndre Hopkins. That's really going to be really good for them. But today, Marshawn Lattimore goes from New Orleans to Washington. Zadarius Smith gets insurance now at pass rusher. Amari Cooper, we already mentioned him, went to the Bills. Deontay Johnson went to the Ravens. The Steelers get Mike Williams today. The Ravens get Tre'Davious White. Like, the teams that wanted to improve, they do improve and they can improve. If the Patriots wanted to, they could have today. Just a couple other things when it comes to football, because I do have some thoughts on the Celtics, and of course we're taking you up until the Bruins game tonight. They take on Toronto. The Patriots take on the Bears this week. We're going to get a look at Caleb Williams versus Drake May. The one thing about the Bears, you should probably know that, is they cannot win on the road. They're one of the worst road teams probably over the last 3-4 years. But they win all their games at home, and now you get the Patriots at home. And I'm sorry, I mentioned Mingo for a fourth, not for a seventh. Whatever. Mingo, Thornton, whatever. I just had, of course, somebody correct me on that. I was on a roll. But I wanted to mention these Rookie of the Year odds. Like, Jaden Daniels right now, far and away, is the favorite to be the Rookie of the Year this year. Minus 1,200 at the moment. Caleb Williams plus 2,500. Drake Mays plus 8,000. That's 1, 2, 3 now in the NFL. But I look at this, and I wanted a Caleb Williams, Drake May. I just feel like the Patriots defense has no shot this week against Chicago. We saw them get completely gashed late in the game last week. The Bears have so many options. Moore, Adunze, right? Cole Kmet. But they have a really good running back in Swift. I think he's going to run all over the Patriots this week, potentially not even giving the Patriots enough reps. I think they're going to hold the football, wear down the Patriots defense to the point where Drake May is going to have to wow you with big plays. I think this is a terrible matchup this week for the Patriots, especially Chicago coming off a loss and at home. And you saw the numbers today when it comes to quarterbacks in the league. When it comes to actual throws downfield that are high danger situations, well, Drake May is turning the ball over the most. So we'll leave it there at 617-779-0985. Do want to get into some Celtic stuff as well. Your thoughts on the Patriots? Again, not doing anything on trade deadline day. They'll tell you it's different around here, but they're still running things the same way. We'll take a quick break. I'm Joe Murray. We're here until 6:30 tonight here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
Diagonal lead up the left side. Tatum calmly steps to his left and knocks down another three. Tatum has been ridiculous this entire first half. Timeout, Quinn Snyder.
Ridiculously hot. That's what I'll say. And when you're not, you're not. But when you're hot, John, you're hot. Let me name his name, okay?
22 points on 10 shots for Jason Tatum.
All right, back here 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. We got about 10 or so minutes to go before we hand things over to Ryan Johnson and Bob Beers. Toronto and the Bruins tonight. And again, I know I mentioned Mingo went to Dallas. Just to preach accuracy here, Mingo in a 7th-round pick from Carolina. So I thought they were in the mix on Thornton. At least I saw some reports that said that. But I'll just say it. They wanted to give up a 4th instead of maybe even going a little bit lower for a guy like Tyquan Thornton. I still think Tyquan Thornton has no value at all throughout the league, and somehow the Patriots think that their players do. I think they think that they wanted a 2nd for Matthew Judon. I've read like multiple reports this week that, they won the Judon trade, and look at this. Both teams won that deal. They needed a pass rusher, and you got a 3rd-round pick for a guy that clearly you didn't want here. Like, clearly did not want here. And again, just thoughts on the Bears this week. I'd love to give you an analysis with the Patriots. It's hard to really do it this year because they have so many problems. But I just start with stopping the run. And I don't know how they're going to stop DeAndre Swift. I think he's just going to run it right down their throat. And there's really nothing else to talk about. They're going to kill the time of possession just like Tennessee did in overtime last week. And when Drake May does get opportunities, he's going to make mistakes because he's not going to get enough series to throw the football. I just think it's a terrible matchup this week. Although the Bears only scored 9 points against Arizona, but they're so terrible on the road. And just looking at it, Caleb Williams went 22 of 41 for 217. He was sacked 6 times in the game. I mean, the Patriots barely have a pass rush anymore. I think the Bears game this week's an absolute nightmare. Back-to-back games as well for Drake May on the road. It's going to be tough for Drake May and the Patriots this week. You just heard the highlight last night from the Celtics game. They absolutely destroyed the Atlanta Hawks last night. I was almost embarrassed. Now, here's one thing when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks, they were on a back-to-back. So if you want to at least bring that part of it up, they no-showed. They played the night before. They got the Celtics. Jason Tatum went off in the first quarter. They gave up 75 points in the first half, and they laid down, which is what every team did against the Patriots. Against the Celtics last year throughout the playoffs. Everyone laid down, right? Donovan Mitchell, who we'll get to in a little bit, at one point had to lay down. Team laid down after getting blown out. Pacers as well. And at some point, maybe Dallas did too. But whenever the Celtics got out to these big leads, teams lay down. And I just want to say that Trae Young absolutely tapped out last night. Absolutely tapped out. One of the people consider this guy a top in the league. And I guess if you go to assists, he's up there every year. What an absolute no-show. He had 70 straight games of at least 10 points in a certain amount of assists. He had 2 points last night. No show. And maybe I should give the Celtics some credit defensively, even though the Hawks really aren't a defensive team whatsoever. But these first quarter numbers for the Celtics are really something. I'm starting to bet on them. Offensive rating right now, first quarter, they're on pace for 139 points a game. Best, number 1 in the league when it comes to their first quarters. Jason Tatum, the highest points in the first quarter in the NBA this year. And I wanted to mention these assist on threes. Trae Young, 29 this year, assists on threes. Jason Tatum, 25. So as much as he's shooting the three and number one in isolation, he's also passing the ball and looking for guys open for three. Tomorrow night, you get Celtics-Warriors, and the biggest news right now regarding the Celtics is the injury to Jaylen Brown. I mean, I feel like injuries is really the only concern this year for the Celtics potentially going and winning a second championship. Hips are something. You can play in a game, you could fall on your hip, you have to be, adjust, crossovers, you name it. I think playing on the floor and falling on the hip would be my biggest concern. Mazzulla said today during his interview with Zoe and Beadle that he doesn't think he's not too concerned about it, not really an issue. This could be a lingering thing this year. And I think you have enough depth if you wanted to where you could play other guys. He's already been ruled out for tomorrow night. So that should at least show you that if he wanted to be in there, he would have been in that game. So they're going to give this a little bit more time. So if you're concerned, sure, have your concerns. You're already without Kristaps Porzingis, but he's expected to come back in about a month or so. I think they could survive with Porzingis healthy and without Brown. Last year they showed they can win without Porzingis and Tatum and Brown. Nobody thought that before, by the way. Not a lot of people thought that just Tatum and Brown could win together. So just keep that one in mind. And the team to really watch out for tomorrow is going to be great. Steve Kerr, all that's going to be on the line. The Warriors are playing well. Steph Curry's back. I mean, Draymond Green's been talking a lot. For basketball's sake, this should be good. I just don't want any of the politics to ruin my night with Steve Kerr. Out. Out. I want to keep it to basketball. Can we, please? Celtics, Warriors, teams that have won championships, best players in the league. Hell, even give me USA basketball. Out on the politics stuff. Please. Even on a night like tonight, damn it. You know who I'm starting to worry about? I know we got a couple of minutes to go here, guys. Cleveland. I know Giannis didn't play. All right. Yeah. They absolutely are a team that I am now starting to look at and say, the Pacers are one of them. Now Cleveland's coming into the equation. And the Bruins tonight in Toronto. Coach Montgomery said Tyler Johnson will be on a line with Patra and Trent Frederick. Speaking of trade deadline day, Trent Frederick on the block? It's kind of interesting. There hasn't been any extensions for certain guys. Montgomery for sure, Brad Marchand, Frederick. Oh, and then the other storyline, David Pastrnak. Benched